Okay, done. Right, we're going to pick up our referral system training. And this is just the diagram that we're using to represent the referral strategy. You'll remember that we're going into the Apple business, which is all very exciting because Apples in our case are repeat business or leads and referred leads. So what we're trying to get is leads. Once we have harvested those leads, which we do using some very well-placed dialogues, and we've already covered one of those dialogues, the database primer dialogue. Once we've gone up into our apple tree, we've used the dialogues to get the repeat and referrals, we put them in a fragile container, which means we treat those leads very well. We provide exceptional service. And last week, you will remember, I gave you a book, Wildfire Service Excellence, and we talked about one of those 6 techniques that are in that book, and then I made the book available to you, which you can download. There is a folder in my Google Drive, which I'm putting the meeting slides every week, and I'm putting the book. I put the book there, and in the emails that I send out after today, the link to that folder is in there, so you can always access these resources. The other thing that we have covered so far is the database. So the strategy revolves around having a well-sorted database, primarily focusing on 300 people that we call your advocates. These are the people that are going to advocate for you, the people who are most likely to refer you or use you themselves, right? 300 of those. Behind that, there's a much bigger list, which we call your B list, and that B list is just going to get your monthly email, the monthly newsletter. Now, your advocates will also get the newsletter when it goes out, but they're going to get a whole bunch of other communication as well, because you're going to build personal relationships with these people. And the first 4 steps in organizing the database are to build the list. In other words, make a big list of people you know, everyone on the planet that you know. You then sort that list down to your 300 advocates, and you delete any Ds, any people that you never want to keep in touch with them. You just delete them off the database. That's fine. That leaves you with your advocates and your B list behind it. So you sort it. You then capture those lists on your contact management systems. As far as your CRM is concerned, and monitoring and tracking all of your contact with each person, and being able to create little landing pages to send people who are interested in looking at property, etc. We're going to use PropCon, unless you are using a different CRM system, which obviously you're free to do, but most of us use PropCon as our CRM. So you're going to capture it on PropCon, and then if you're going to do what I'm going to teach you this morning, which is to use a slightly advanced bulk email system that needs a bit more functionality, you are going to use it's called an autoresponder, like a bulk email service, and I use MailChimp. So I'm going to show you one of the reasons why I use MailChimp today, because I'm going to show you how to build a drip campaign. With that in mind, the homework over the last 4 weeks, it's actually been, because I gave you 2 weeks grace, was number 1, to call through all of your advocates, because this is the priming. On that apple tree diagram, after you've captured your list onto your contact management systems, you then have to phone through and prime all 300 of your advocates. So that was it. Call through all your advocates and prime each one using the database primer dialogue. The database primer dialogue sounded like this. Hey, Neil, the reason for my call is that I've recently made a decision to build my business exclusively by referral. And part of that means focusing on delivering an exceptional level of service to my current clients, but also keeping in touch better with my past clients. And what I'm trying to do in the beginning now is get clear on who it is who would actually be happy to refer me. So can I ask you, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, am I the agent you'd refer them to? Are you happy to refer me? They have to say yes to that question if they want to be on your database. Yes, Stephen, of course I would. Thanks for that, Neil. Your referrals do mean a lot to me. I'll be in touch more regularly in the future with my Trusted Advisor program. You got to let them know I'm going to be in touch more regularly than I have in the past. They have to understand why you're doing that. because I've got this program called the Trusted Advisor Program. Okay, that's the database primer dialogue. You've made that dialogue 300 times. Once you've done that, you then follow up with a handwritten note. So send every successfully primed advocate a handwritten note thanking them for their support. And that handwritten note might look like something like this. Dear Neil, just a short note to say a big thank you for pledging your support for my business. I deeply value my relationship with you, and so your referrals are tremendously important to me. I promise to look after anyone you refer to me, and if there's ever anything I can do for you, please let me know. Chat soon, Stephen. Okay? And I know a number of you did actually go and do this exercise, and a whole bunch of you got a bunch of leads while you did it, and that always happens when we've done this with agents throughout the world, actually, with what Brian was doing in the States, Brian Buffini. We know that this thing produces business, just this exercise. Now, it's more than just lead generation for now. This is setting up your Trusted Advisor Program into the future as well, of course. Then the last thing I asked you to go and do was read that Wildfire Service Excellence book. Right, that was your homework for the last 2 weeks. Today, we're going to still look at the database. I want to look at building the database today from the perspective of how, now that you're in the position that you're in, you've made a big list of everyone you know, you've sorted it down, you've typed them up onto PropCon, you've phoned through, you've primed everyone, you've written the notes, but now how do you add more people to your database? Because the database has to be a living, growing organism. You're constantly going to be adding people to your B list. You want your B list to become as big as humanly possible. If you could get 10, 15,000 names on your B list, you would be in an incredibly good position, because 10 or 15,000 people are going to be getting an email every month from you with a property market update or whatever it is that you're sending out. Now, we know that open rates are around 20%. So if you've got 10,000 people, that means 2,000 people are going to open that email. And then you've got click-through rates of around 2 or 3%. So that means 200 or 300 people, I believe that's right, 200 or 300 people are going to, if you've got 10,000, are going to be clicking the links in the email. If it's a link to a video or something, 200 or 300 people every month watching you on video, reading stuff that you've produced. That's the vision behind the B list. And so you want to add as many people as you can. Now, let me say something else about the B list, is that from time to time, you are going to have an accelerated connection with someone that you meet, whether potentially it's a new client. For example, a buyer responds to an ad on a listing. You then begin to work with that buyer. You've never met them before, and you go through the whole process of helping them apply for finance through Amanda at Multinet. You help them move in. You arrive on the day that they move in with a little Frank and Olive box of treats, little punt from a shameless punt from my wife's business, or a bunch of flowers. And they learn to love you and trust you, and you go and visit them. You put them on the database. Here's what might happen. They might go straight on as an advocate. They might already be referring you to people because they loved working with you so much. So some people will accelerate straight through the B list and just become advocates, and that's okay. And the reverse will also happen. You will have people on your advocate list who 2 or 3 times you've now phoned them as part of the cycle of communication, written communication, personal contact. You'll see on the apple tree diagram. You phoned them and said, "Hey, Mary, how are you doing? It's Steve Johnston." And it's like, "Hi. So how's life, Mary?" "It's fine." "Great, Mary. Well, the reason I'm calling just to make sure that you got my newsletter last month about things to do in winter in Cape Town. I thought it was really fun. Did you get that email?" No, I haven't seen it." If somebody treats me like that, I can tell you, they are going to be downgraded from an advocate to a B before the phone call. You want to work with people who want to work with you. If you're going to be having a lot of personal contact with your advocates, which you are, you don't want to have to suffer. Just find the people that like working with you. That's one of the keys to enjoying real estate. So you can downgrade people from an advocate to a B, and then Mary just gets the email from that point onwards every month. Okay, so the question I'm wanting to ask today is, how do you build a database quickly, or how do you add people to your database? And we're going to use a dialogue called the database filter dialogue, how to introduce your business to someone for the first time. If you are doing what an agent should be doing, getting out into your community, whether you're chatting to people at school or you're in a local coffee shop or whatever the case may be, you've got to have a way when you leave the coffee shop to have the contact details of the person you got chatting to at the next table. You've got to get good at gathering people into your database. Now, how do you do that? We're going to do that using this thing called the database filter dialogue. Now, why do we need a filter? Because there's a certain question that this person that you've just met in the coffee shop has to answer positively if they want to get through the filter and be added to your B list. Okay, what's the question? Well, before we do that, I want to talk about, oh, no, I've got it here, okay. The database filter dialogue. It's a very simple question. You can memorize it by role-playing it 10 times. Easy. You'll remember it off. It's a short little statement. So you've been chatting to someone in the coffee shop, and it's, oh, by the way, Bill, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? Oh, by the way, Bill, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member was, do you have an agent that you'd refer them to? Now, you will notice if you've been doing the database filter, sorry, the database primer dialogues, that it's a very similar question you're asking. The database primer said, am I the agent you would refer? Now, you could do that because these were people that you thought were advocates. These are people who already know you, like you, trust you to some extent. So you could phone them and say, you know, I want to get clear on who actually would be happy to refer me. So can I ask you, if you're buying something at home, am I the agent you'd refer? Would you be happy to refer me? Okay, now with this one, you can't do that because it's a brand new person. You've just met them. So you change the question up a little bit, and all it says is, if you were buying or selling your home, you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? If they say no, then you just tell them about your client, your client communication system, your trusted advisor program. So let me tell you why I ask. I don't build my business like most estate agents and spend a lot of time cold calling and door knocking and stuffing things in your postbox and all of that. I build my business exclusively by referral, and I work with a very specially selected group of people, and I provide them with exceptional service. And I have a program that I run with those people whereby I keep them informed about what's happening in the property market in our area, and I send them something on a monthly basis that I think will be valuable. And I've enjoyed meeting you today, John, and I'd love to keep in touch with you as well. Does that sound good? Okay, that one doesn't have to be word for word. Just remember what you're trying to do. So I work by referral. I don't work like everybody else, and I build relationships. And I've got a program whereby I keep in touch with my relationships and I keep them informed about what's happening in the property market. I've enjoyed meeting you. I'd love to keep in touch with you too. Does that sound good? You got it? Okay, that is a dialogue that you can do 10 times a day. In fact, that might be a goal that you set for yourself, is that, man, I'm going to get out into my community and I am going to find someone, get into a conversation with them. At the end of the conversation, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just ask them, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? No. Right, let me tell you why I asked. I'd love to keep in touch. Does that sound good? Sure. And then my favorite question, which my daughter knows I love this question because it builds your B list. What's the best email address to get you on? Once they've said, yes, keep in touch with me, they cannot deny giving you their contact details then. They've committed themselves. So what's the best email address to get you on? Right, that is the database filter dialogue. And I'm going to recommend that you do try that over the next 2 weeks. Try it a number of times. See how it works for you and start building up your B list. Okay, so here are some ideas for meeting new people. I know because some of you have asked me, say, I have no database. I'm new to my area, or I'm brand new in real estate. I just don't have a database. So what can I do? Client adoption or absorption plan. You can use previous agents' databases and get introduced to them. Housewarming parties. I'd be interested to know if anybody has done a housewarming party. But when somebody moves in, not all buyers will want to do this, but some will. If they're a sanguine personality, they'll want to do it. So you say to them, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, one of the things that I like doing for my clients is hosting a housewarming party for them. Because I know when you move into a new house, there's so much going on. You want to meet the neighbors, but you don't want to go through the schlep of organizing a party and the catering and all of that. So I will do all of the organization for you. You just need to give me a budget for how much you're willing to spend, aka I'm not paying for this, Mr. Buyer. And let's pick a date, and I'll go about getting it done. All you have to do is provide me with a guest list of people that you'd like to be invited. Please give me their cell phone number and their email address so that I can get an invitation through to them via WhatsApp and email, and you host the housewarming party. So then you phone through the database. If this sounds like a good idea, you need to be taking notes while I'm talking. You send invitation in the mail, or you drop it in their post box. You then phone, personal phone call, follow up. Say, hi, Mr. Price. This is Steve Johnston speaking. I'm the real estate agent that has just helped Joe and Mary buy down the street from you. They are hosting a housewarming party, or I'm hosting a housewarming party for them next Friday evening, and they wanted to make sure that you got the invitation. I did send something through to you. Just wanted to make sure you got that. Okay, it's a perfectly valid reason for a phone call. Now you've just had personal contact with this person. That's 2 touches. You then come to the housewarming party. You are there. You meet Mr. Price at the housewarming party. You shake hands, you chat, you have a laugh, very low key. You then send a handwritten note after the housewarming party to everybody who came. Dear Mr. Price, just wanted to say thanks so much for coming to Bill and Mary's housewarming party. They really appreciated it, and it was great meeting you personally. Regards, Stephen. Now they've got a handwritten note from me. And then about a week later, they're going to get a phone call from me. So saying, hey, Mr. Price, it's Steve Johnston again. Just want to make contact and say thanks again for coming to Joe and Mary's housewarming party. And you know what? I loved meeting you, and I wanted to ask you, if you were buying or selling your home, or you had a friend or a family member, do you have an agent that you'd refer or that you'd use? Yes or no? So we're now using that database filter dialogue to kind of filter this guy. And if he says, no, I don't, you say, great, well, I'd love to be available to you when that time comes. Let me keep in touch. Would that be okay? Yes. What's the best email address? Well, you've actually got the email address. So it's a very, very clever way of meeting people geographically located around your listings, because you're doing this with all the neighbors. So I love the housewarming party thing. I think it's a great idea. A change of address program. So again, they don't want to have a housewarming party, but you produce beautiful little change of address cards for their whole database. So Joe and Mary, one of the things I like to do for my clients is send out change of address cards, because I know you've got lots of people, whether it's from the kids' school or friends or whatever, who you want them to know your new address and that you've moved. I'm willing to send out these cards for you. All I need is just the spreadsheet of the name, the address, and a cell phone number so that I can confirm with them afterwards that they got it. So again, you get that. You send out the change of address cards on behalf of Joe and Mary. Host a neighborhood drinks party, picnics, etc. Join community forums if there's like a community security forum or whatever the case may be. Show houses. Brad Neal is an absolute king on how to generate leads and build relationships through show houses. And in fact, on early warning, here we go, on the 16th of October, 16th of October, Brad and I are doing a webinar together. I'm going to put this link in the chat for you if you want to go register for this. It's going to be a brilliant webinar. where Brad is going to show us why show houses are still one of the secrets to success in real estate. And he really is a boss. I mean, he's #1 in the country as far as I'm concerned on show houses and how to do them properly. So attend that webinar. The link is in the chat roll. So show houses, a great way to meet people. Join community service organizations like the Lions Club or the Rotary Club. I wouldn't tell you to join a local church to meet people. I think there's more fundamental reasons you'd want to go to church, is to connect with God. But I will say this: you can build incredible friendships and community in a church. Why don't you join a local church? You know, they've done studies. The average person that goes to church there's a whole bunch of metrics. I'm going to forget them all. They make like 20% more money. They have more satisfying relationships with their spouse. Tempted to tell you what the study actually revealed. I don't know if it's appropriate. Well, it shouldn't be something we're interested in. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Some of you know what the research has shown about the satisfaction in marriage for married couples. It's the best of all relationships. Better relationships with their children, a more settled sense of well-being in life. Studies show people who go to church live happier, more successful lives. So get to church. That's my pitch this morning for joining a church. Sports clubs. If you're able to do a group or community sport, get into your local paddle club. Paddle is a great way to meet people. You know, if you are needing to build a database, guys, you're going to have to get out and get involved. Get into places where you can meet people on a regular basis. But now you've got this database filter dialog that gives you the ability to convert those new relationships into people onto your database. It's a very simple little technique. Hey, if you were buying or selling your home, you had a friend or family member was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? No, I don't. Great. Because I work exclusively by referral. I've got this program. I love to keep in touch. I love to add value to people in the property market. And I'd love to keep in touch with you too. How does that sound? Sounds great. Great. What's the best email address to get you on? Okay, you got it. I've actually got a line there. Get involved in your local church. You see, it's not the first time I've had that thought. Business networking functions. Join BNI. That's a networking organization. Some people love BNI, some people hate it. But anyway, it's an idea. Chamber of Commerce. Does that still even exist in South Africa? I don't know. Children's schools, functions, and committees. And be present and involved in all community events. Okay, so just get out and be active. Monique Lepan, you have your hand up. Is that right? Okay, Monique, I think that's the second time you've by mistake raised your hand. Let me put that down for you. Okay, adding new people to the database. Now, next little piece of this puzzle, and I need to get through this in 15 minutes, is you need to develop what is known as critical mass with a new contact as soon as possible. Okay, what is critical mass? It is a marketing term. Originally, it was a term used to describe when a certain brand of an industry, this is just one brand to produce this product within an entire industry. Lots of other companies produce the same kind of product, but this particular brand gets associated with the whole industry, so that people don't even talk about this product's generic name anymore. They just call it by that brand name. That's critical mass. Okay, in the chat, somebody tell me what's an example of critical mass. And if you say Hoover, you are dating yourself. Yes, Alida and Ferdy, both children of the 70s. And then Luke Stead, the millennial, he tells us Google. Google it. Is there even another internet search browser? Is there even another one? There probably is. Ask Jeeves or something. Jacuzzi is another example. Yeah, it's like a jet spa. Well, I don't even know what a jacuzzi is. Like, I just know the name jacuzzi. South Africa had a great example of the thing. I don't even know what to call it. The thing that chugs along the bottom of your pool, sucking up all the leaves. What's it called? It's called a creepy. Cool.
I got it there in the chat box.
Sorry, Ferdy?
No, I say I got it there in the chat box. It's a creepy.
Yeah,
I don't know what brand.
Are you up at the top there? Creepy crawly. Yeah, so anyway, we could go on. These are all examples of companies that have managed to get critical mass. And what you are trying to do in your real estate business is get critical mass with the community of people who know you. In other words, when they are at a dinner party and someone across the table says, we're thinking of selling our house. Previously, without critical mass, that information would have gone in one ear and out the other. But now that you've got critical mass with this person, it's like a bell rings out of heaven and they hear your voice saying to them, oh, by the way. And they're like, whoa, okay, I've got a referral now for my agent. My agent's always telling me if I know anyone thinking of buying or selling, I'm gonna send them their details. That's what it does. Is it activates their it's called the reticular activator, actually, this thing in the brain that makes you notice things. Like pregnant women notice other pregnant women all over the place. Suddenly everybody's pregnant. It's just because they're noticing it. So what critical mass does is it gets that reticular activator working for real estate opportunities so that you actually create a bunch of evangelists for your business, some unpaid salespeople. Okay, so the big question is, when you meet someone for the first time, how quickly can you get them to critical mass, and how do you do it? Well, fortunately, Gary Keller from Keller Williams did some research on this, and they have found that this means, let's read from the notes there, this means beginning the mindshare positioning process immediately, and studies show that this is best accomplished by touching the person. So a touch could be a voice contact, face-to-face contact, or it could be a piece of written communication or a voice note. Any piece of communication is a touch. Okay, it is accomplished by touching the person. Sorry, wrong screen. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. 8 times in 8 weeks. 8 times in 8 weeks. That's how you do it. Okay, now, this then is where a drip campaign can be so helpful. Now, I don't think the 8 emails alone will do it as powerfully as some personal contact in that time. But if you've got a good CRM system like a PropCon, someone gets added to your drip campaign, which is going to be what? 8 emails in 8 weeks. Now, this is why we do our drip campaign, 8 emails in 8 weeks, because it's based around the research on how to get critical mass with people. I think at least once, maybe at the end of week 4, a little phone call is in order. Put that in PropCon. It'll suddenly add it, or put it on your things to do for the week, on your to-do list. Yeah, you sit down with PropCon every day. You're going through your to-do list. Oh yes, I need to phone Mr. Price because he's been on my drip campaign for 4 weeks now. Let me make a phone call. Okay, so what is a drip campaign? It is a pre-programmed series of emails that get triggered when you add someone to your database. Now, this is what you need an autoresponder for, like MailChimp. I'm going to show you MailChimp on my screen to show you what they call it a journey. Okay, so in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the home page of my MailChimp account. You're going to see down the left-hand side here, there's a bunch of options. There's this one that says all journeys. Okay, this is a journey is a drip campaign. Okay, so I've got 4 journeys that are currently operational. We're going to look at Francesca's. So my daughter, Francesca Johnston, is an EXP agent, and we have built a drip campaign for her. So I'm going to click on Francesca's drip campaign. And this is it here. Once it's pause and edit, when you hover over the timeline, there's a little plus button that shows there, and you can then add in additional steps into your drip campaign. You can do whatever you want. At the moment, what happens is the first step in the drip campaign, and this thing can be as long or as short as you want it to be. You just add steps as you want to. Each of these little panels is a step that we have added. How does someone get onto the drip campaign? Well, they get added when a contact is tagged drip campaign. So we have set up a tag in Francesca's database called drip campaign. We meet Mr. Price, we add him to the database, she does, and when she adds him, she tags him drip campaign. He now gets added to this. Immediately an email gets sent to Mr. Price. That's email number 1 of 8. It goes immediately. Then we have programmed in a 1-week delay. After the 1-week delay, email number 2 goes. That's welcome to the southern suburbs. Second email gets sent. That's getting a 46% open rate at the moment, which is pretty good. And then another week delay. Then weeks 3 emails go. Then another week delay. Then you get the idea. It's just 8 emails. Then look how clever this is. At the very end of the drip campaign, when someone finishes it, the next step is they are tagged monthly newsletter. So MailChimp itself will then add a tag to this person. And who does Francesca send her monthly newsletter to? She sends it only to people on her database who are tagged monthly newsletter. Now, if you've been following me, here's what's going to happen. Mr. Price she meets him at a show house. She adds him to her database and tags him drip campaign. He starts getting the drip campaign every week. A week later, Francesca has to send her monthly newsletter out. She sends that to everyone, but Mr. Price does not get it. Why? Because he's not tagged newsletter yet. We don't want him getting confused during the drip campaign. We don't want him getting the newsletter. So he gets the 8 emails over 8 weeks, and then the system automatically then adds him to the monthly newsletter tag. And from that point onwards, he will automatically then get the newsletter when Francesca sends it out to her people who are tagged monthly newsletter. And that is a very, very low maintenance, very clever way of touching people in 8 weeks. Okay, so let me give you an idea of what these emails look like. Francesca meets Mr. Price at a show house. She uses the database filter dialog and says to him, if you were buying or selling a home, you had a friend or family member who was, do you have an agent you'd refer them to? He says, no. She says, great, because I got a program. I'd love to keep in touch with you. He says, fantastic. She tags him, drip campaign on MailChimp. Immediately, the first email triggers. That's this email. Francesca here. Hi, Stephen. Great connecting with you. I'll be in touch soon. In the meantime, please click here to learn more about me and property in the upper southern suburbs. And there's the little thumbnail of her video. Chat soon. If there's anything I can do for you, just let me know. If they click the click more button or they click the video, it takes them to the same place. So it takes them to Realty SA's website where her bio page is, where Mr. Price can now watch her little video. Email number 2, where does that go? Well, that's welcome to the upper southern suburbs. And this is an absolutely brilliant video. I was so happy with how this came out. Some awesome video footage of like highlights of the southern suburbs, which Neil Robinson helped Francesca put together. Really a brilliant little 2.5-minute video about the upper southern suburbs. So, hi, Stephen. It's a huge privilege for me to help families buy, sell, and settle in the southern suburbs of Cape Town. This is truly one of the most remarkable places to live in the world, and it's my pleasure to introduce you in this video. Click here. So the first 2 are video-based. You're going to see the rest at this point for Francesca are text-based. She might want to replace some of these with video as time goes by, but at least the drip campaign is in place now. So email number 3 is local school spotlight. So some of the best schools in the southern suburbs, because a lot of families live here. So buyers are going to be wanting to contact local schools. And what Francesca has done with all of the local schools, this is a long list in this email, she has linked the website of every one of the top schools in the southern suburbs, so it's easy for the person to just click and it takes them to the website of the school. So that's a great and helpful email. Email number 4, things to do in the southern suburbs. And there are 3 activities which Francesca is saying she loves to do. Unleash your creativity at the Clay Cafe, paddle and tennis, or take a scenic walk on one of our green belts. So that's things to do. Number 5, art and culture. So Francesca actually got Alistair Whitten to write this. Alistair Whitten was until recently the curator of the Chris Barnard Gallery in Newlands. So he's one of the top gallery curators in South Africa. And if you know anything about the art world, you'll know that none of us know anything about the art world unless you're in the art world. It is a highly unique industry, that. So he wrote this brilliant little article on art and culture in Cape Town, with links to all of the major galleries. But then email number 6, Upper Southern Suburbs Property Market Report. Okay, this is now the property specific email in the 8 emails. And once every 3 months, the newsletter that goes out will also be like this. It's going to be a property market update. And it's stats that are drawn off Lightstone. You'll see some screenshots of some of the bar graphs, etc., for some of the areas in the southern suburbs. Period of ownership, age of ownership, some really compelling statistics that makes her look like she knows what she's doing. And Francesca will have to come in and actually change this particular email every couple of months. Then date night. This is number 7, best date night spots in the southern suburbs, which is really cool. So some of the best restaurants in the area. And then the last one, email 8, is just a thank you. So thanks for joining me on this journey. It's been lovely sharing these things for you. Don't worry, I'm going to be keeping touch each month. This is important. Each month you will receive my market update email filled with some kind of valuable content, insights to keep you informed or inspired. Then this newsletter is released at the beginning of each month, so please look out for it. That then tees them up for the new routine, which is a monthly email from Francesca. Right, homework for the next 2 weeks. And you're going to see I'm giving you one last chance now to complete the priming of your advocates. That means phoning through all your advocates and using the database primer dialogue, sending a handwritten note to everyone you successfully prime, and then I'm also going to say start planning and even building an introductory drip campaign. You may need to go and get yourself a MailChimp account for that. All right, so next time, guys, no more grace on the priming of the database. We're going to move past this now, and we're going to get into the apple tree and start talking about the written communication and the personal contact that you now have on a regular basis with your advocates. That's where we're going next. How to communicate with your advocates. But you've got 2 more weeks to finish the priming of your database. Any questions?
Steve?
Yes, Brad, how's it?
Yeah, just wanted to ask, how can we get a copy of your drip campaign? I thought that was brilliant. I'd love to see Francesca's drip campaign, if that's
what
possible.
You can do, I think actually reach out to Francesca and ask her to put you on it.
Cool, thank you. I'll do that. How do we contact her?
I can give you her. Well, let's see if it's on the email here. Can you see it on the email, the 082-052-0673 number? But yeah, if you can see the screen, Brad, it's on.
Cool, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll leave that up for you. Yeah, otherwise just contact her off the Realtor SA website. She's one of the agents working with Lisna, and just click on her tile on the Realtor SA website. And all her details will be in there. Cool, guys. God bless you. Have a wonderful week ahead. And if you need anything from me, let me know. Otherwise, go forth and conquer. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.